And hello.
Hello.
I'm Wizard, correct?
Yes.
Hi, very nice and lovely having you here at AI.Love.Jazz podcast. And you are the weekly winner from the second week.
Oh, thank you very much.
And with your song A.Jazz, which it's very impressive actually.
Not alone. So here's what I'm doing. I'm watching the disruptions, naming them, not ignoring them. I'm finding.
I would like to ask you first about you, who you are, what is your connection with music, your passion with music, so to say, how you came up with A.Jazz song.
So I love music, particularly I love dancing. So in fact, these days, I pretty much end up going sort of techno dancing about once a week. And if I don't go out and sort of dance and throw my body around at least once every second week, I sort of go a little bit stir crazy. I'm musically dyslexic, so I was realizing the songs that I would sing in the 80s and 90s, I don't actually know any of the song words. I have my own version of all of the songs in my head, but there are songs that I have on repeat and I can play in my head, obviously with still the wrong music. The thing though is I'd found that even though I love music, I didn't have the tools to be able to do it with. So when I was 7 years old, I learned the guitar for 1 year, but then my parents didn't quite have enough money, so we had to give up me playing the guitar. That meant that, let's say, lack of knowledge, lack of skills, meant that even if I had a passion, if I had ideas for songs or things in my head, I couldn't do anything with it. Now, in my sort of other part of my life, I created this thing called UnDavos, which goes to World Economic Forum during the World Economic Forum, and it unconferences Davos. And my thesis for that was democratizing Davos. Well, now, if I look at these tools that are available to us now with artificial intelligence and like these different types of tools, it democratizes creativity. And I see music as it being one angle where I've become massively more creative thanks to just using these tools in new ways. Yeah, a little bit about me and a little bit around passion and why I'm into this area.
Lovely. What can you tell me about your song A.Jazz that won the weekly competition? How did you came up with this song and why ADD?
My 2 children are clinically ADD and autistic as well. So it's something in our family, and there's no way that I would be neurotypical at all. So right now, and on Instagram, it's the kind of things where if you click on 1 or 2 things one day, then before you know it, your entire feed is listed with, are you ADD? This is how it works, etc. So I'd never framed myself as being ADD specifically, but then I do lose a lot of coffee cups. And if you listen to this song, it starts off, I've got a coffee cup. And so literally as I was, I had a coffee cup in my hand, and then it disappeared, and I have no idea when. I did find it eventually. So for me, this is a normal thing. I just actually sort of produced my first techno album. So mwizard.live is my sort of artistic site. I got tracks on Spotify. And this sort of executing music with AI is my paintbrush. Maybe if I do a little detour into this before I get into the ADD jazz thing. So Dali doesn't credit the paintbrush for his paintings. Even more interesting, Damien Hirst doesn't actually put his hand up a shark's butt to make it. Damien Hirst has a team. And there are many, many artists who objectively are incredible artists, but they don't execute their own art. They're not required to make everything. Andy Warhol had a team. Fancy teams of people. I have this sort of artistic vision in mind, and somehow I need tools to use it. But just like if I'm writing fiction, I don't say, well, thank you to Google Docs and thank you to my MacBook. I won't say thank you to these things. So for me, I don't actually see myself as being an AI music creator. This isn't the thing that defines. This is a tool for me to express my creativity. So for ADD Jazz, for me, was then tying up this sort of, for people that are experiencing ADD, I believe it sort of can be a superpower. I thought, look, I can sort of musically put this into words. I had the words. when I make a song, I start off with words. And I have this ethos called encoded techno, but it's really more sort of encoded music where instead of saying, here's a song, I see you, baby, shaking that ass, I thought it's much more exciting to say, like, is there meaning behind it? And so the meaning behind this ADD jazz is to say, look, if this type of thing happens to you, you're not alone, but it's okay, because if you know how to take advantage of it, you'll be a fantastic superpower person. It also means that you're also very happy when you find your cup of coffee, even if it's cold, and quite often you will find a sock as well.
Yeah, totally.
But yeah, so for me, and it was also fun, playful. But then I've been doing techno a lot, and I hadn't gone into this sort of notion about sort of, can you make a jazz song? I just thought, that's such a good creative challenge. Let's see what comes up. So, I mean, it did take a while to sort of spin it around and sort of get it in the right direction. And I have lots of other tools as part of it. Plus, it's also using my cloned voice as well, just for a little bit of a difference.
So what was your process in creating that song? Like, did you use only Suno, or have you used also other AI tools that help you write the lyrics? Or how was your creative process behind that song?
So my creative process is I have, in terms of, let's say, conversational AI, I use ChatGPT and also Claude. I do voice dictation a lot because I can just, my error rate for typing now is quite high, even though I can type very quickly. So for that particular song, I had an idea for the beginning of the song. And so what I did is I opened Claude's dictation is actually very bad quality. So I tend to dictate songs, first of all, into a project that I have for Suno projects in OpenAI. I've already uploaded, here are the rules on how to structure songs and how it works. And I always have to tell OpenAI and Claude, use my lyrics, don't invent your own. Because they just want to make up their own. And then you can tell AI songs all of it, like all of a sudden it's like there's a cup of coffee in the room, it's the signal, it's not the noise. There's certain things that AIs are obsessed about. So no, it's my words, not yours. That then I start off with lyrics, and I have a concept to help me creatively, like it's a 3-act structure. So there's a journey that I take people through, Act 1, Act 2, Act 3. I then worked out that I wanted to have this sort of playfulness at the end, and sort of it should end happy. Now, what I then do when I start in OpenAI is that I move to Claude, and in Claude I have AI personas who are my musical personas. So I have a producer, a lyricist, and these are AI experts, and their job is to provide me feedback from, let's say, musical professional feedback. So the lyricist might say, well, at the moment, this really goes quite flat. I can invent words for you, or here are some ways of prompting you to come up with something better. So I use these experts to then prompt and steer me as to how I would put together the lyrics. Then I use my AI producer to say, well, okay, how do I craft the Suno prompt? So I use Suno to do the actual music production. And so then, but quite quickly, I want to just let's just stick it in and see if it works. And I'd never made a jazz song, so I had no idea if it was going to be any good or not. But first time around, it's like, yep, this sounds like actual jazz. There's something to this thing that it's worthwhile pursuing. As soon as I have an angle, I'll typically do 5 or 6 different iterations. I also worked out that I could download on Suno, I could download an MP3, and then I can upload it into Claude, and Claude will read the dynamic, reading of the track, and then say, well, actually, at minute 2:20, it's a little bit flat. We could make it better. So right now, I do this a few times. Then for this one, Suno had a new feature where you could do voice cloning. So I don't have a very good voice, and anybody that has ever heard me sing in Davos knows I have a terrible voice. But I decided that I would test out this voice cloning. So I did a little, I think it's 20 or 30 second recording of me. Then on Suno, they force you to, on your computer, read out a sentence so they can work out that your voice pattern is the one you're uploading, which is quite sensible. And then it's spun up, and it's kind of like me, so I can notice there's bits of me in it, because that meant that I have an AI voice, not just in there. And then afterwards, I then do a remix. So I've worked out how I can remaster my audio to make it better sounding. And I've even just learned how to make AD spatial audio as well, so you can have the words coming out, so to give a better headphone thing. So then I'll release that very soon.
Lovely. Well, I'm looking forward to hear more songs and more of what you're creating. But indeed, I really believe that what you say, that the AI is just like simply another tool in the creative personas to express their artistic side and what they cannot do otherwise if they don't have the AI tools.
Well, and I think as well, I mean, there is a remarkable amount of technology in music already. So there are presets that people use. So yes, they can change their preset, or they can speak in and they can make a sound, and the sound will make it. So there's already and it just, whether we call these things algorithms or technologies right now, musicians, artists use these things all the time. But I also know that, and I think it's really a case of, are we talking about creatives and creativity rather than specifically banging on a drum? Because I know there's a friend of mine and she sings, but quite often she doesn't have a band to sing with. So right now she may need to wait 3 months before there's a band and a place where she can sing with a band. Well, is that needed? I've got friends of mine in the music industry where for a certain piece of music, it will be really good to have a choir. And how do you just say, well, like, okay, I think a choir would be quite nice, but you can't just spin up a choir and then go to a local church. And just the licensing of these things alone and getting permission slips would be terrible. But now with AI, you're able to test element form. When the guy told me that he was one of his rap artists from Italy was going to do a choir, I thought that's cool, and I already started like jumping onto my phone to make a demo. Great fun. But I think it is just the tools allow us to democratize creativity. It's also, and I used AI to help make my picture for my song, which is the coffee cup with the sock. But then it highlights where AI can be really, really crap. So when I got it to, let's say, make me derive a picture from my song, and there was a cello in the middle of a chair. Looks crap. The sock looked like it was some sort of strangled octopus sea monster. So actually what I did is that I was actually in my own house. I took a picture of my literal cup of coffee, which was cold, and a sock. This one I did have to actually engineer that because I now have methods of not losing my socks, or you're losing two rather than one. And then I use that sort of picture to then composite an instrument at the back of it. So, but that was also designed with AI. But one of the things that I use music for me is so that professionally, I learned so much around how AI could be used in different ways in my professional work. But rather than saying, here's my day job, exciting, I consider it a spreadsheet. Instead, I say, here's a passion that I have, and let's use AI for music or visuals and blah, blah. And it basically is this incredible springboard for creativity. And it just inspires me to do so many things. So, and I hope many people like listening to this will get inspired to give it a try, because it's phenomenal opportunity.
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, thank you so much. I'm wizard.
Thank you very much.
Lovely.
Thank you. And thanks. And I think what AI.Love.Jazz is doing is a phenomenal thing to actually kick this conversation off going. And hopefully I can be in Montreux as well.
Absolutely. We're happy to see you there.